This is where the fun begins.
As it was explained to me by George Lucas, even when he becomes Darth Vader and even when he's fully immersed in the dark side, he is still the chosen one.
Hayden is Anakin Skywalker, and he knows this. So to have them bring all that knowledge, and it's more than knowledge, it's more instinct and emotional. They just know what feels right for their characters. It's invaluable.
It's a very meditative process for me. Sometimes my mind wanders, mostly about the scene we're about to do. The difference between Anakin and Darth Vader, and is Anakin completely gone or not? He is fully Darth Vader, he's fully consumed by the dark side. But I like to believe that there's always a little bit of Anakin still in there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. And this is such a wonderful time here. We are going to celebrate through art Revenge of the Sith. And so gives everybody a time to get in here. I have a kind of new setup here, not a new, but I am very innovative. And so I have two mics going on. And so you will see Star Wars, The Art of Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith book that I have. I'm going to go through it, but you're going to visually see it as we go through, as we talk about it, and we discuss this as well. So let me see who's in the chat. Let's give some people some time to settle in, and let's check you guys out. So thank you guys for hopping on. Again, 20 years since Revenge of the Sith came out. This is my absolute favorite, second one out of the 6 movies. And we would not have characters like Darth Krayt or anyone that came out during the PT era time if it wasn't for George Lucas coming out and giving us the PT, and then having the having all the expanded universe expand on and deliver continued stories from that time frame. So let's see who's hanging out in the chat. Hey there, Gibbet, how are you doing? Happy 20th anniversary, Revenge of the Sith, and happy 26th anniversary to the Phantom Menace. Yes. And let's see here. We have Star Wars Marvel Pierce coming in and saying, force choke the like button for George Lucas's Star Wars, the masterclass, the one and only, the masterclass. And as he had, authors and everybody expand on the movies and create such a wonderful historical timeline that we call Star Wars in the galaxy far, far away, right? Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, he chose his employees, I guess you could say business, chose the best writers out there, the best creatives out there that worked with him and his company to keep the synergy of Star Wars going on, and with coherent stories. And even as they grew and they had to correct minor mistakes and stuff like that, he still brought in people to help keep the timeline as congruent with itself as possible. So Gibbet says, OG, what do Native Americans eat? Do they eat a lot of meat or vegetables or fruits? We eat just like every normal thing, like the junk food and stuff like that. But if you're talking about historically, depending on the region where our people settled at, will determine their, I guess you could say, their dietary needs. All right. Oh, yeah, I forgot you're Filipino too. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And let's see here. And hey, OG, May 31st, me and my buddies were planning on to make a video responding to Anthony Gramuglia's video on the Galactic Empire and how it's apparently filled with cowards. Interested in joining? You know what? Let me message me. We'll talk about that. I don't know what's going on the 31st for me, so I'm not going to definitely give you a answer right now. But DM me in Twitter. Melissa Lord's in the chat. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us. Let's see here. And all right. Let's see here. Scroll down. Let's go. Revenge of the Sith is downright Shakespearean. And the reason why I wanted to touch up on the art part of the movie is these are ideas that George gave to the artists and the creators that helped him develop these stories that were the first visuals, the first ideas. And so you could say that what we see on screen was birthed from this, from, like I said, he brought in the best he could find to meet his vision. And I'm not even talking about the EU. I'm also talking about the art. And I think it's a beautiful thing that we need as fans to recognize. I can't imagine all the makeup and prosthetics on you, right? Like that's amazing what Hayden went through to have all that done to him to become the soon-to-be Darth Vader, like how he was burnt up, all of that, how much it made it realistic. And Nerd Migos is here. What's up? Happy Revenge of the Sith Day, and how are you doing? Stop caring about the rigidity of what George Lucas did. Just let creatives like Tony Gilroy create. I mean, look at Jar Jar and the holiday special and the multiple things happening in the final act. That's some crazy bullshit that people are saying because of Andor. And as always, people on our side, will use that as a way to uplift what Andor did. If it was that fucking good, why are you putting down everything that came before? EFAT, every frame A triggered, correct. And that was amazing. Laura is gatekeeping. Hell yeah, gatekeepers alive. All right. OG, did George Lucas read the Star Wars source book like the encyclopedia? You know what? He basically, there are some things that he said that he looked up, or he had his company look up for him when he was creating these stories. And he also had what they called the Bible. All right. Question. This is from Arvato Soul Assassin. Thank you so much. One of my mods, just like Star Wars Marvel purists. Question. What were y'all doing life when episode 3 came out? I was in high school or skipping. I can't remember. We won't tell on you that you were skipping just to go see. That's cool. That's cool. All right. Okay, I'm going to say hello to everybody. I know you guys have a lot of people are commenting. We have 41 beautiful souls in here. Let me go ahead and put this up, and we're going to switch screens now. You can kind of see. Let me adjust this a little bit further down. I have it at a weird angle, but I will adjust to it. I had it where it was in front of me on the opposite side of my table, and so everything would be upside down for all of us, like for all of you guys reading or following along. So I went ahead and put it this way. And I wish it wasn't looking all blurry now. Well, we'll give this a try. Okay. And let me scroll down. Jim, the Death Spot is here. If I haven't said hello to you, I don't mean to not. So if you have the Art of Star Wars, I don't know why it wants to not focus. It was focusing for me earlier. But if you have the Art of Star Wars, get the book out. I read that book at the library years ago, Mike Cassia said. Pretty cool. So what are your favorite scenes in Revenge of the Sith? So we'll go with that. Favorite scene in the Revenge of the Sith. And so this is written by J.W. Rinsler, a special added feature, the official screenplay by George Lucas, and that's all the way in the back. So if you're wondering about the scene where you have Padme, Mon Mothma, Bail, and like a few other senators. It's in this. It's in here. So let's see here. God, I wish it wasn't showing. And you have the glare. Dang it. I don't want to go turn off the light either. No. Oh, wow. It is what it is. All right. So with this right here, the Ford design has always been a critical element of the Disney Star Wars films. On a macro level, every aspect of the galaxy, from costumes, weapons, and vehicles to alien species to remote planets, must be created from scratch. On a macro level, even the very look and feel of the film involves an intricate design process. Color palette, composition, and lighting have all profound impact on the emotional renaissance of every scene. With so much of the film now created digitally, I really stumbled to that one. The importance of design and pre-visualizations have never been greater. As the bridge between the original Star Wars trilogy and the prequels, Episode 3 presented some unique design challenges. The film forced us to visualize many aspects of Star Wars that have been known to the audience for over 27 years, but never before seen. We knew that Darth Vader was more machine than man, but we had never seen what that meant or how it came to be. We knew that Chewbacca came from the Wookiee world and Princess Leia from Alderaan, the one planet actually destroyed by the Death Star in A New Hope, but had never really seen either planet up close. And we knew that Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi had a fatal confrontation on the volcano planet that, even with near legendary status of Star Wars lore, had never been glimpsed before. So have you noticed that they didn't say that, Obi-Wan and Anakin or Vader fought before or after, or had any other fights in between Episode 3 and 4? All of these ideas began, and so I'm going to go back to that point, and I'm going to read that one again, that paragraph I'm starting on. So, when George Lucas was creating this epic duel between Obi-Wan and now Vader, which we know Anakin, or Vader without the suit, or Anakin, we knew that that was their only fight until we see them again in the Death Star. So nowhere did they say, oh, well, we knew that this is one of the fights before Episode 4 that they're going to meet, right? So with that being said, this confirms that there was no other fight between 3 and 4. All these ideas began in my head, but they would never have found expression without the talents and the insights of the many artists who have worked on the films. The group has evolved over the years. For Revenge of the Sith, it includes artists and designers like Gavin Bacquat, Trisha Bigger, and Iain McCaig, whose work spans all of the prequel. Ryan Church and Eric Tiemens, who joined the art department on Episode 2, continued their extraordinary contributions in Episode 3. Rounding out the groups this time was a number of gifted young artists new to Star Wars. Collaborating with all of them has been one of my greatest joys in making Episode 3. This book is a tribute to their amazing work, often taken for granted once the film is complete, but without which there would be no film at all. George Lucas, December 13th, 2004, Skywalker Ranch, Marin County, California. So that is his dedicated letter, a big old letter saying thank you to these artists that helped me visualize what this movie, what these characters, what this universe, what these scenes are going to be. And I think that this is something that is, like George said, that needs to take note, and these people need to get recognized for their contribution, because without their great imaginative minds, we wouldn't have what we call a masterclass of Revenge of the Sith, right? Okay, so Soul Assassins is, wait, there's a dude who worked on episode 3 with the last name Demons. That's kind of cool. And I'm going to go ahead and find this real quick, and I want to play this video for you guys. So let me see here, youtube.com. Let's see here. I had put up a video of my art, and I want to share it with you. So if I get a copyright strike, I don't care. I want to share it with you guys. But let me go ahead and pull it up real quick. And I'm an artist too, and that's another reason why that I wanted to pay homage to the artists of Revenge of the Sith, because on Revenge of the Sith anniversary, because I think it's very important that, you know, we take a look at the creatives that formed the video that we, not video, movie, sorry, I'm pulling out my video, that we love, right? Stop. Let me see here. And let me go ahead and rewind that and share with you guys. I don't want too many screens up right now. I'm going to get myself out of here.
Okay.
Just get out of here the way Tony Gore has to cook. Let's see here.
This is actually messaging station on my birthday. What? Yeah.
Let's see here.
Okay. Yeah, it was out of the blue. What? She said that my life is making her feel insecure. Yeah, me.
All right, let's see here.
Isn't that funny?
There we go. There it is. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and play this video now. So let's see what I do myself and how, let me see, let me go put this back up. There we go. And my type of art, my homage to Star Wars, my fan art, what I work on. And this is something that's very, very current that I'm working on. Massive nerd cred to anyone who can guess the Sith. Can you guess the Sith? All right, so let's get back to this. George Lucas makes the way he made okay, let me go back again. George Lucas makes movies the way he made documentaries. When he was a graduate student at the University of Southern California, he shot a short subject documentary about a radio disc jockey known as the Emperor, 1967. 2 years later, he made a making of documentary about Francis Ford Coppola's The Rain People. For each, Lucas would conceptualize, shoot, edit, write, and shoot, edit, and so on until the film looked on their final forms and stories. He was able to continue this process to some degree, which while making his first 3 featured films, THX 1 through 1138, American Graffiti, and Star Wars. The latter climax, for example, came to include a threat to the rebel base only late in the editorial process. Many films have last-minute additions and changes, but usually these are born out of necessity. The difference between Lucas and most filmmakers is his methodology requires that much of the movie he crafted in editorial. For him, the scripts itself is a draft of the movie. Principal photography is another draft, and the rough cuts are subsequent drafts. As each element is completed, the story is honed. New scenes are introduced and other discarded. Early in his career, Lucas had to fight the studios in order to create movies his way. So we all know that George was a leading independent filmmaker with not wanting to be subjected to the rules and how Hollywood and their standards on movies. And so he went on his way and created his own studio. But with the success and independence he'd acquired by 1995, he began the Star Wars prequel trilogy with an unprecedented amount of control. By spring 2002, so 2002, with the transition of digital movie making completed and its consequential creative freedom, Lucas began work on Episode 3 with an even greater potential for spontaneity. As his longtime sound designer and co-editor Ben Burtt points out, in the history of cinema, only Charlie Chaplin had a similar kind of mastery over a big budget movie. The exact involvement begins in the art department. It is there that Lucas repairs every Friday. Yeah, that says repairs every Friday during pre-production from April 2002 to June 2003. It is where he will work with growing numbers of incredibly talented conceptual artists he simultaneously writes the script. Although he'll stick to pencil and paper, the artist will work almost exclusively in the digital format. Because the software programs are now so flexible, with the exception of the storyboard and sculptures, nearly every pre-production artwork reproduced is in part 1 of the book. And I wish this wasn't so out of focus. I should have just kept my camera the opposite way because it was focused the other way. All right. Exists as a digital file, but this only inverse proof of what Lucas often points out. The photography has become paintings as paintings has become digital. In fact, the digital medium is the hybrid descendant of both paintings and photography. Part 2 is taken up primarily with the artistry of the sets, costumes, and creatures. Part 3 centers once again on the creation of digital artwork, this time during the post-production phase. Because of the way Lucas works, not only does the innovation and conceptual development continued during this period with earlier ideas, but new designs are continually introduced. The third part of the book thus sees the melding of principal photography, concept art, digital matte paintings, and computer animation. So in here, this right here is the list of who's who, from George Lucas to his production designer to others that have contributed as artists and as working on the film as well. We're not going to go through this whole book. I just wanted to point out a few things in here and also look at the chat, see what you guys are saying, and if there's anything you want or curious to see. Let's see here. OG Star Wars. What favorite character of the prequels? Oh, God. Are you talking in film in general or the era? Let me know. All right. So can anybody guess what or who I painted? What Sith eye did I paint that I shared with you guys? Let me see here. I hate that this is not as clear as I want it to be. Okay. So here we go. So this right here, this is the sinkhole architect, they call the church here. And This is June 7th, 2002. George Lucas's initial assignment is to create 7 planets for 7 Clone Wars battlefields to serve as the opening of the film. Art department meetings are held each Friday, and at the first gathering, some of the designs revealed represent now new ideas, such as a ring world and a crystal world, while other planets have their origins in concept art created decades ago for the first trilogy. For example, the sinkhole planet, earlier called Crevasse City, I think I might say that wrong, and a volcano planet originally conceived as Darth Vader's home. So very interesting here. So do you guys have a favorite planet from the PT era? Okay, from the movies. Oh, that's you know what? I haven't really thought about that really for the PT era. Maybe Obi-Wan. And when you look at this art here, it's so amazing to see because there's a lot of oil paintings going on here. There's a lot of concepts going here that he took, and sometimes he renamed them, like the sinkhole planet. So can you guess what the sinkhole planet is called? Can you guess that one? And here you go again. So we have the lava planet. We have some Star Destroyers here. I don't think you could see them. There you go. You have some Star Destroyer planets here, or ships here. So this is basically something that came from the OT. They put it here as a conceptual art. And we see that they were very careful with giving us ships and stuff so we could see the evolution of the ships from the PT to the OT. So that was very, very brilliant of them. And here's some more designs here, some more art here. And we have the ships. We have planets with ships, or is that planets? Or no, that's Coruscant. It looks like Coruscant. Let me see. Aerial battle over Coruscant. Yeah, so battle over Coruscant right here. I know there's a glare. I'm sorry. And then another one here for battle over Coruscant. So a lot of conceptual art for Coruscant here, and the battle. And that's one of my favorite scenes, is the Battle of Coruscant. And Soul Assassin says, Lucas would sometimes like a picture so much that he'll buy and take it for a personal collection. Correct. And honestly, he's also done that with Star Wars comic book pictures, or art. Even from Disney Star Wars, he has bought and put it in his own collection. So that's an interesting bit of information for you guys right there. He was really big on visual arts as well. And we have like different technology droids and all that here. We have the floating droid concept. So the buzz droid that we see in the beginning of the movie. Like I said, I'm not covering everything in here. We're just going through. We're just having some fun here. This art is definitely masterclass. I agree. And a concept art here. This one right here. I never really paid attention to this one right here. And now that it has my full attention, now that I'm pausing and we're looking through here. This is a lemur creature right here. So sorry, there's a glare. So we have here, and then we have the lizard creature, and it says Anakin on top. We know later on it's not Anakin that's going to be riding that, and it's going to be Obi-Wan. More planet concepts here, like the Bridge World Revised, the Bridge Planet Chase. So these will go into Order 66 scenes here. So very interesting as well. Let me see. Let me try to get the glare off. I'm going to turn my screen off, or I'm going to get up real quick. I'm going to turn the light off real quick, just so that cuts down on the glare. And then I will be right back. I'm still here with you guys. Whoopsie. It's a little dark. Let me see how that looks. Oh, it might be better. Awesome. Okay. Let me plug my back in. Make sure I don't lose charge here. Okay. There, that's a lot better. It's not trying to like focus too much. I mean, like I said again, I'm sorry that this is a little bit blurry. Where I had the camera at earlier, it was really focused and I should just left it there and you guys have been watching it upside down. All right, so here's some, like I said, some concept for planets as well. Do you guys have any questions regarding some of the concept art or scenes that you want to see? Let me know, because I don't mind shuffling through the pages and finding that information for you in the book here. All right, OG, why do so many of these shills hate the EU even though they've never read the EU? I don't know. I don't know what's going on in their heads. And let's see here. I'm going to move forward a little bit more. So here are some of the vehicles that we see in the movie. Some that we see that are a little bit more different, but very similar. You know, like these are concept pieces, and sometimes you'll see them as they are made conceptually through art, or sometimes they're tweaked up and stuff. Like this is the ribbon ship, and this is basically Dooku's ship, I believe. And then we have the inept droid. So this your droid here. Let's see here. And then a lot more through the years. Yes. Where's the Ahsoka art? She doesn't exist in this right now. She doesn't exist in this. She never existed. I lost count of how many times at home watching. All right. So now we're getting into some alien stuff here, which I thought was very neat. We do see some that came to light, and then we don't. Like you said, this is concept art. This is the early stages here. Here's Kashyyyk. Now, this is one that I really, really absolutely love, because we get to see the homeworld of Kashyyyk of the Wookiees. And it's very fascinating. Like when I read Heir to the Empire, and Leia got to go, hide out, she was there hiding out, being protected by the Wookiees and stuff. And just imagining in my head how the trees, the Rashira trees looked, and how they made their homes, and how they use technology to move through, like their lifts and all this other stuff. Seeing what is made here in this concept art just really expands that more for me. And so I thought that, seeing this and then thinking back to the Thrawn trilogy and other times that we got to visit Kashyyyk and the lore, this gives me a more of a greater idea on how big these trees are and how they made their homes and stuff. Love that planet. I do too. It's amazing. Kashyyyk. Here's another one here, and it's kind of like Endor with the what do you call them? Jeez. Endor. Why am I drawing a friggin' blank on this little guys? Because we have the Wookiees, the Ewoks. There we go. I'm like, why am I drawing a blank with the Ewoks? They're so easy. We always talk about them. But this is like another version of these type of creatures that make their homes in the tree, and another aspect of that. So you can kind of see the similarities of the Ewoks and the Wookiees with their homeworlds and how they build their homes up in trees and stuff. And then we have some more concept art of aliens and suits and stuff like that. And this is fucking crazy. George said, that's too much, but good try, June. So right here, these little dune, I'm going to say like these dune worms, or these little worms or whatever coming out of the ground. Looks like crystallized kind of ground and stuff. So that's kind of crazy. Let's see here. Again, if there's something you guys absolutely want to see, I can find the page. Now, we're going to be here probably for another 35, 40 minutes. I don't want to take up your time. And there is going to be a live stream from Star Wars Marvel Purist after mine. And so he's also going through the anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. So I will send you guys over there to go check in, press the like button, all of that, and join in on his live as well. Let's see here. So, and what is this one here? The city, Fresnel Interior Crystal World. So that was the Crystal World. And I don't think we've seen this here in Order 66. So very interesting right there, the Crystal World. Now here's some concept art here for, we have Padme here, we have Obi-Wan right here. So just very interesting, like costume idea, concept art. Very interesting. And I couldn't wait to get to this one here with Anakin. So we have Anakin and his concept art of after he got burnt up and all of that. So we have some ideas here. And I did share that video with you guys. After Party at Purist channel, right? Correct. And so we had that makeup artist putting on the synthetics for his burn. I'm gonna go ahead and play that right now because I do need to grab some water. So let me go ahead and.
As it was explained to me by George Lucas, even when he becomes Darth Vader and even when he's fully immersed in the dark side, he is still the chosen one.
Hayden is Anakin Skywalker, and he knows this. So to have them bring all that knowledge, and it's more than knowledge, it's more instinct and emotional. They just know what feels right for their characters. It's invaluable.
It's a very meditative process for me. Sometimes my mind wanders, mostly about the scene we're about to do. The difference between Anakin and Darth Vader, and is Anakin completely gone or not? He is fully Darth Vader, he's fully consumed by the dark side. But I like to believe that there's always a little bit of Anakin still in there.
There we go. So we have Padme and we have Anakin right here. So use a scene from this image to what we watched with Anakin getting switched to the burned up Darth Vader before he becomes Vader in the suit. Very cool, right? Very cool. Just like the imagination of how they were to make it possible without having to use like a reface or CGI or whatever, or type of thing where they just would take his face and redo it on digital. And I think that's friggin' amazing. And of course, we have pregnant Padme here. Let's see here, what else do we have? And then we have, like George, we have the Walker and Alien Forest. So this right here, Felucia, I believe. This is the concept for Felucia down here with all the mushrooms and stuff. And that is in the movie. And sadly, it is with our beloved Ayla Secura. And I'm going to go ahead and play that video as well. Might as well take advantage of what videos I have up here while I'm presenting this art. I don't have much, but this is a great way to pay homage.
Jedi is something that came a little later. When we started building Jedis, we had a lot of Jedis, and we needed more and more Jedis. As we were doing them toward the end, we ended up with a lot of Jedis that looked like people that worked at ILM, with these short little haircuts and looked like they stepped out from behind a computer. And so I was saying we have to get more exotic Jedis, and so we only have so much resources to do these things with, but I do have Twi'leks because we use them quite a bit in other areas in the Senate and as background action. So I have a sort of a wardrobe and a setup of certain kinds of characters. So it was a way of reinventing some of those characters. And I had realized that we had a comic book that has a Twi'lek in it that is a Jedi. There's a whole series actually of her. And I said, well, why don't we put her in this? I mean, she's a comic character, but we'll just fit her in and have her be a background character because that's exotic. That's how the Twi'lek Jedi ended up in the backgrounds of these shots, was to try to use some of the work and effort that the guys in the comic book world had put into things and characters they had created.
And there you go. So George using the EU to help him world build. Oh my goodness. Come on now, work with me here. No, there's no earthquake. It's just this damn thing does not want to stay secured. There we go. There we go. Oh, that's a lot better. Okay, there we go. See? All right. And Quinlan Voss and Ayla Secura. Yes. So master and apprentice. They came from, those characters came from, you call it, from Jan Durasima and John Ostrander. Another couple of great inspirational artists for the true Star Wars. So let's go ahead and move on. And this right here, holy crap. So we have, I wanted to read what's on the bottom of this real quick. George said, we still need more planets. So I made this organic Vietnam style world. And this is from Church. So he thinks that this represents Vietnam, I guess, Oh my God, Vietnam. Ooh. All right. So, and this is the battle on Megiddo. So I think, isn't Megiddo an EU planet? So correct me if I'm wrong. I think it came from the EU. So correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, Gibbet says, OG, I would like you to make a video showing off your EU collection. Eventually I will. I need to get a better bookshelf right now. So right now, like a lot of my books are stacked in front of each other because I have such a small space for them. So I have 2 rows of books. So you won't see everything really, but eventually. So here's Megiddo. So let me know, those in the chat, if you remember if Megiddo is an EU planet or not. I'm almost positive it is. All right, and let's see here. Some more ideas for planet. We have the Neimoidian foyer. So this a little area for the Neimoidian culture. And I think it's very interesting that how elegant this looks for these type of creatures, these not creatures, species, I guess you could say. And then Alderaan interior. So like we've only seen like the OT Alderaan as a planet before it got blew up, right? And so here we get to see the planet Alderaan and what it looks like with the human inhabitants. And if you get into the Alderaanian history, there's other species and stuff like that. And even the Killiks are original, or like one of the original species from Alderaan, which I thought was pretty cool to expand on. And let's see here. And then we have Chewie. We have the Wookiees. I have to say Chewie, but we have the Wookiees here. And just concept art with this. I love this drawing here, even though it's very minimum, you still have an idea. And that one is called, where's the name? Wookiee Concept 1 by June. So all of these are by June here. We have like different styles, stylization of Wookiees, like more of an elder looking one with his braids down his chin, which I think is very interesting. Then you have the children and like how they use little branches and stuff to climb and get around. And when you get into, again, like Heir to the Empire or other books that have the Wookiee world, you kind of get more idea on how they live among the trees and what's on the floor of the planet and all that. And this all comes from, a lot of these stories come from what these visuals give. And there's visuals that also come from what the EU did. So there's this big, huge synergy of creative going on here. Megiddo, my Cheeto. Very good. Yeah, Megiddo is an EU now, but back then I think it was new. Okay, yeah. So, all right. So, like I said, if it's born here, that's cool. But I was thinking that it was an EU planet that was brought in, just like Coruscant is a concept name of the capital planet. So, hey there, Melissa Lord, how are you doing? The holiday special first showed me how the Wookiees live in the trees, laugh out loud, live, right? Wookiees, the best species. Haha. Yes, I agree. Lucas Garrison says, I saw the Wikipedia here and they say that Megiddo came from the Star Wars Episode 1 Darth Maul 2000. Oh yeah, and EU planet. Okay. All right, so again, differing species. A lot of these are very similar that we know today that were brought out in concept here for possible use of in the episode 3. Then we have the concept arts for the Ithorians here. And some more concept arts here for Naboo Garden, all of that. We already knew what Naboo was going to look like by just episode 1. So just another example of that. And now let's get into the climatic duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan. So here are some of the concept arts here. We have the Mustafar boiler room duel. And then we have the Mustafar fight pit. So a lot of concept arts, some things that we've seen, some things are completely we'd never seen before. Just, again, ideas. That's what concept art is all about. And it is so gorgeous. Now, with you guys here in chat, and if you're catching the replay, answer below. What is your favorite, or who is your favorite artist for Star Wars? So who is your favorite concept artist outside of Ralph McQuarrie? That's a quick one to go to, right? He is like one of the OGs of concept arts for building Star Wars. But outside of Ralph McQuarrie, who is your favorite? Let's see here. And here is the Separatist Cruiser gags. And so we have ideas here. This looks like above Coruscant. That's what it looks like. And then we have, and this is November 8, 1 through 8 of 2002. So we have Padme Dreams. And we have a Padme here. This is Anakin riding the lizard again, which we know that changes to Obi-Wan when he goes after Grievous. Ouch. I just hit my elbow on the thing. All right. And then here, this is from another alien concept from November 8th, 1st to the 8th, 2002. And Polis Maza. Here we go. So here's Polis Maza. So this is one where we know the twins were born. And so here's the concept art for that. I thought it was very interesting how they pictured Polis Massa in the movies, but this is where it comes from here, this concept art here. And of course, we know that the twins were born. They're from like one from Alderaan, one from Tatooine, but they were born on Polis Massa. So, I mean, we all know that already, but yeah. And so here is another concept art here. Polis Massa 01, Polis Massa interior. That's a right here. I wish I had a little thing to scroll, zoom in and out so you guys could see closer. And Droid General. Who do you think this is? Look at this. General Grievous. And he has an amazing story arc in the multimedia project. So I highly recommend that outside of TCW. I don't recommend him in TCW. And so we have some concept arts here. We have the Wide Alien General. So another one, I'm guessing that this was a concept of Grievous at one point, I guess, or some type of general. All right. And then this one is freaking crazy here. So look, we have these like devilish kind of creatures here. We have the Bonehead General. Bonehead General. And then Droid General. So again, more concepts here. And more planet ideas. This is when they crashed. Looks like when they crashed into Coruscant. So that scene here. Let me see what you guys are saying. Alo Guvnas. Is that one of your favorite? Gabriel Knight? And see, that's another reason why I am wanting to create. I've got to get it published. Is the Art of Star Wars, so that you guys have an idea of who's who. And the more I think about this, I think I want to cover per artist, highlight per artist, and I already have a lot of Ralph McQuarrie's art already ready to go with me with my voiceover. I just got stuck on what images I want to do. So I'm kind of at a standstill with that. This could be a 3-part video. And I'm thinking of doing the first part with major points of his art for the OT. And then jump to another artist and then come back and revisit Ralph McCurry another time. So there'll be 2 parts of his, but given it different time frames. British for governor. Okay, Gabrielle. I'm like, there's so many artists and stuff. I'm like, what? All right. And this piece right here. So if you haven't been paying attention, they republished the Revenge of the Sith novelization with this weird front cover of Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting. And it's such a very off-putting image. It's like their lightsabers are going in different directions. It's like not even a beautiful picture of a duel. And they did put some concept art in. And this one down here with Padme and Anakin sitting on the chairs with each other next to the window is in there. So I'm just letting you guys know. And General Grievous right here. So we got another concept art from here. I'm not going to get into that. And then we have Plo Koon and we have Ki-Adi-Mundi here. So some of our Jedi's here in concept here, because we know that, they are shown being killed during Order 66. And then we have pregnant Padme. Now, this is very interesting because we have her in this beautiful black gown and she's, of course, pregnant. She has her hands over her belly. And then we have her with, her hair decorated with little glowing lights and stuff here. Just some wonderful looking images of Padme during her pregnancy before, of course, she passes away. And then we have Anakin and her talking right here. Some more concept arts. We have, is this Bail? Yeah, here's Bail Organa. So concept art of his costuming and stuff here. And of course, we have Anakin's concept art here for his costume here. And this one right here, I was going to put on the thumbnail. And this is the Anakin and Padme on Mustafar right here. I love how this is so dark. And then you see the glowing of the lava or the fires like right behind her and stuff. Very ominous, very dark image here. Arvis looks like Darth Red. Let's see. And then again, we have Felucia the Forest here. I always thought that was a fascinating planet and it's dangerous to visit. So if you get into the lore, you find out more about it. It's very interesting here. More with Mustafar. And you have the duel between him and Obi-Wan, Anakin and Obi-Wan. And it's like I said, we can go through this all day long, obviously. And let's see here, where we're at in Han Solo. So if you haven't heard, Han Solo was going to be a feature or shown in Revenge of the Sith as a young Han Solo on Kashyyyk with Chewbacca, with Wookiee. Oh my God. It's been a long day, you guys. But he was going to be in the show. He was going to have his little cameo in the show, him and Chewbacca on Kashyyyk. But George decided to not go that way. So it's not in the script anymore, but we were told that Han Solo was on Kashyyyk and that he was being raised by Chewbacca. He's such a persnickety guy later on. He always has to have the best of everything. So I thought that it'd be great if when he was a kid, he was an absolute slob. So that was Iain McCaig. So, but they decided, George is like, nope, I don't want him in here. Took him out, which I totally agree. I really like how they expanded on him for the Han Solo trilogy and even in the Han Solo adventures. So just imagine if we've seen a young Han Solo on Kashyyyk, like when Yoda runs to Kashyyyk, or when Yoda was there during the battle on Kashyyyk or whatever, we've seen him with Chewbacca. So I don't know. I think that was one of the better things that George did, is not including him. So what do you guys think? Soul Assassin says Boba Fett was supposed to be in the film fighting Mace, and that got turned down too. Yeah. Get your Han Solo now with Wookiee. I know. I was like, wait, I said Wookiee and not Chewie. Oh, goodness. I laugh at myself sometimes. I hope I make you guys laugh too. And then we have the Mustafar Utapau connection. So here are some of, like, this right here is a sculpture, and this one is by, where's the name? Mustafar Utapau female sculpt, and this is by Burns. So this is very interesting how this is, like, look at all, like, the design that goes in here, the texture in the face, amazing stuff right here, amazing stuff. And just going through this and just browsing through it and just thinking about the movie and how these concepts turned into the ideas that we see in the world building of the movie is amazing. Lizard people. Wasn't there a fan theory that Yoda sent Obi-Wan to the cantina to meet Chewbacca, since Chewie and Yoda met during Revenge of the Sith? You know what? I don't recall that, but if anybody can provide more information, I would love to see if that was a fact. Okay. And here we go. We have more concept art here. I'm going to go ahead and pass over this because I want to. Oh, right here. So Obi-Wan and Grievous here. So I was hoping that Grievous's vehicle was sentient, or that Grievous would plug it into it and make it sentient. It's really a moment about eye contact between the adversaries, and that was Church. So Obi-Wan and General Grievous face off right here. So that was one of the funner scenes that I liked. Especially like when Obi-Wan loses his lightsaber, and Order 66 was already called upon and stuff like that. Very, very climatic, very interesting to see. And I wouldn't say it went downhill, but it started getting towards the two main duels of the movie. And this is when they crashed into Coruscant, the Coruscant crash. That's by Church. And that just shares how great of a pilot Anakin is. Like, that just goes on to his reputation. And we have Grand Moff Tarkin right here. So here's Grand Moff Tarkin. Here is Palpatine costume concept right here. Here is Imperial officers, their concept right here. So, and here's his office right here. So this, again, just fun to look at, see what was taken, what was left out, what was expanded on, what was left alone. And here we go. This right here, too, I believe, is in that Revenge of the Sith republished novelization, which I'm not going to get. I haven't even set my hands on it. I would love to see it, but I don't want to purchase it, and I don't want my shelves, because why do we need a reprint of something like that? But I get they have Matthew Stover's commentary in there, his notes, annotations and stuff. And I wish it was done before the buyout. That would have been great. That wheel bike was a real vehicle back in the 30s. Legit worked. Yeah, I remember seeing those concepts back then. I think some of the artwork went on to be used in the Episode 3 game. And that's the thing. And I think, Pierce is talking about the game, right? He's talking about Revenge of the Sith game and the lore behind that and the connections and all that stuff too. So, this morning or earlier we got Scram talking about the movie and the music and stuff like that. And here we're talking about the concept art and reflecting on what happened, what didn't happen, what we seen, what we didn't see. And then with Purist, after this, go over there, and I believe he's talking about the game. But here we go. So we have Vader concept art here. So Vader sitting in the medic here, getting his suit put on him. And this is like a downward view of him. Very interesting, a downward view. And this is right here, another where they have him upright and they're putting his mask is coming down on him here. And again, this is in that reprint of Revenge of the Sith, that concept art's in there. And then we have the Tantive 4 here. And so this we know is, you know, basically the Organath ship. And we get to see it in Revenge of the Sith. And then again, Leia has it in the OT for episode 4 for Star Wars, what we know as A New Hope. And Padme here, very elegant looking, pregnant here. Some more concept arts. And then we have the Naboo funeral scene, inland and color variations insert. So here we go. So we have like the funeral pyre here for I'm guessing a funeral pyre or a bonfire for in honor of Padme or what have you. So 2 different color schemes here. We have the concept art of her funeral, herself and her funeral, how they prepare her, which is very similar to what we see in the movies. Her costuming, I guess you could say. And here we go. So we have more Battle Above Coruscant. So that, again, that's my absolute favorite space fight scene. Yeah, that's mine. And I think when it opens up to the Battle of Coruscant, when you're watching and just remember seeing it on screen, fucking amazing, right? And then watching it again, no matter if it's at home or whatever, it's on your TV screen, no matter how big, just the impact of that, it's so amazing. It's wonderful. It's like, again, my favorite battle, you know, space battle scene, the Battle Above Coruscant. And this is when the ship goes down and we see in the movies that they're, you know, spraying water on it. And this is where we know about Anakin's like gifted piloting skills, all of that. So we have that. And this art here is from Church. And then the birth of the twins. So this is on Polis Masta. So we have the Medroids and stuff like that, and some of the species, the Polis Mastians in here. And if you watch, or if you not listen to, well, you can maybe, but if you read The Last of the Jedi, the first 2 books are basically Obi-Wan leaving, and he's going, the Force is leading him to clear any more evidence of the twins' birth on Polis Masta. So even if you don't care for the series, that still has some insight on what happened and why Obi-Wan had to leave and how it made sense to the story, how early in the story it was from him settling down on Tatooine, so it didn't break any continuity. And Lucasfilm was like, we don't need Obi-Wan leaving really at all. So they accepted this one story and then stopped them from sending him away off of Tatooine because he's there for Luke, right? He's there for Luke. Let's see here. Some more battle droids. This is Grievous right here. This is pretty cool. This is a statue right here. And just looking at the how it looks skeletal and how it's carved out or, you know, put pieced together. I really adore this. I really adore this sculpture here. Very fascinating. And this is Barnes Sane, and this sculpture is by Barnes. Whatever I was designing had to look right and be mechanically right and work in CG. So he was like going with the concept of what he should look like, how he should move. And when you're an artist and you're doing sculpture or even painting or what have you, it has to make sense. It has to be fluid to what it's supposed to be. Like if you're going for realism, And then the Utapau battle between Grievous and Obi-Wan, they're going back and forth here. And this art here is by Church, Utapau Chase, number 6, The Vanishing Point. So this is where they start going under and chasing each other and stuff. So And here are some storyboards here, which I thought was pretty cool. I love seeing concepts through storyboards and what the scenes are supposed to be like. And this is where Obi-Wan basically kills Grievous. So uncivilized. And I'm gonna go ahead and play it. Why not? Even though it's for cringe factor.
So uncivilized.
There we go. Had to. Like I said, if I have the clip, I will pay homage to it. Let's see here. Another happy landing, but they took out the control tower. They sure did. And then Soul Assassin says again, I think some of the artwork went on to be used in episode 3. Oh, that's right. I already read that one. And then Lucas says, Grievous looks like that alien sighting scene from that invasion movie. Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that. All right, so let me see here. I want to go ahead. We're going to start closing out, but I want to go ahead and get to some major concept scenes here. I hate to skip around. Oh yeah, there's one I really want to pay attention to. Let's see here. Is there anything you guys want to see? Like, again, I'm willing to flip to the page if there's something you wanted to see concept-wise, or if there's a concept art to a scene. We can figure that out, because I want to give you guys some grace period on asking questions about this and if there's something in the book regarding concept. Now, here is one again of Anakin getting taken care of, getting his operation where he's more machine than man kind of concept. This is the operation table here. So here's a concept for that. And here is where Obi-Wan went in and recalibrated the message that was calibrated by the Empire, by Anakin having the Jedi return. So he changed the message. So this is the database, I guess you could say, or I guess you can say the communication port, or the computer communication center, or whatever. Let me see, what does it say? Jedi circuit room. There we go. The circuit room. All right, and let's see here. Some more concept art here for their fight on Mustafar. Again, lightsabers in contact. Very beautiful scene right here. I don't know what they were trying to do with the Revenge of the Sith republished novelization with that ugly concept art on the front, or art on front. Padme here with her blaster. And then Alderaan here. And let's see here, her funeral here. We got Naboo here. This art is from Tiemens. This art's from Tiemens. I love how the painting here, it's oil. You can tell it's oil. You can see the brush marks and stuff here. Very beautiful. And let's see here. All right, so here we go. So we do know the Death Star was shown at the end of Revenge of the Sith. So I really wanted to bring this up here because I find it funny that Disney Star Wars shares the Death Star and it's missing, like this is the last piece to be placed in, and the firing system is the last thing to be built for them. Whereas this is one of the first things that they start building. Even though we get towards like 2 BBY, towards the Battle of Yavin, the firing power is like maybe at half at one point before they fully finish it. So it's still usable. And I think that's very important because that's an important aspect of this battle station is its firing system, right? And so we see the disc already being filled in here, all of that. This is concept art, but when you look at the movie, very similar to what we see here. So I thought I'd point this out. The inconsistencies of Disney Star Wars versus the consistencies of the real lore. And of course, we have this beautiful art here, concept costumes of the Naboo royalty and all this right here. Very oriental, very creative. I like that George took concepts of other cultures and created something totally different from them per planet and stuff like that. Very beautiful. I love how this looks here. And this is her going mourning for Padme at Padme's funeral. So she's, dressed up, and she has these little crystal tears here. And, this right here in symbols of mourning, crying, all of that, blue, sorrow, all of that. So this concept art is Queen of Naboo, headdress and costume. This is by Keisha Castle Hughes. So very ominous to Padme's death and the queen, the current queen, mourning for a past queen. So I thought that was very interesting. Very well done. And again, we got a little bit of concept pieces for just how it looks, on Coruscant and stuff. Let me see what you guys have to say. Didn't they fire the Death Star once before it was completed and only scorched the planet? Yes, they did. I think her dress was inspired by Mongolian fashion. Yeah, like it was an Asian Mongolian type thing. And let's see here. And of course, we have Palpatine's office here, and there's a lot of homage to the Sith culture. He was a huge collector, and you have the Sith red here, very awesome to look at. Let's see. And then we have the inside of Tantive 4, and where Yoda and them meet to discuss the twins and their upbringing, where they're going to be hidden, all of that, the important matters. More concept art here for the aliens that we see here. Let me see. I think there's going to be one more here. So giving you guys another chance. If there's something that you want to see that I haven't presented here, feel free to say. Let's look at part 3, digital shot creation. So we're going to look at the digital stuff now. Then we're going to start closing down. So digital shot here. Here we have Coruscant. So I think this is very beautiful here. Coruscant Digimat concept. Digimat. So we know that there are scenes that were for the OT that was painted on glass. And so that was used as a background scene and stuff like that. This is kind of the same concept here. You have the skyline here, the sunset here, all of that, just to give us an idea. Then you have the evening time. Then you have different times of the day. And this is the Imperial Senate area here. More of Coruscant. So we have different aspects here. I think it's pretty well done. And George did some groundbreaking stuff with digital concepts for film and stuff like that. And during this time, by this time, I believe he also helped with Jurassic Park, or ILM did. And so ILM has a long resume of other movies that they worked on outside of Lucasfilm. And so when people say, oh, George overdid CGI, or George did this or that, he was doing some groundbreaking stuff. There was no, well, this is too much of this, or this is too much of that. People, you have to do the first steps to know what is too much and what is too little, what have you. And George was setting those grounds. Let's see here. And then we have the Jedi Temple here. So concept of Jedi Temple here. Jedi Temple, we have the temple statue model here. And, of course, she has, she's levitating the ball. Very interesting. And then more concept around Coruscant as well. And then we have this image here of the inside of Anakin's mask. And I'm going to read this down here because I thought this was very important, or very interesting to when I first read it. I wanted to hint that the mask is painful to wear, with lots of pointy things that provoke Vader as it interfaces with him. And we already know with the Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader, that the suit was very uncomfortable for him. And so this goes into more of that. But this is, just imagine wearing this like for most of like the half of your life before you pass away. And you have all these sensors and everything like connected to your skin and all of that. And let's see here. And of course, Order 66, December, this is December 2003, January 2004. So we have Order 66 stuff going on here. Yoda down on Kashyyyk. Let me see what you guys are saying. Nemoidians who wasn't from the separatist movement, according to certain cowboy. Wow. And nobody knew they were Sith artifacts except for Mace, who had a suspicion and asked Palp. Right. The Great Hyperspace War. Yes, that was one of them right here. And Mustafar here. So here is the planet. And here is all the concept art for that. And we're going to start closing off with this here, the ending here. And some more Order 60, like the battles and planets here. Let me see. Oh, and here, this is very important. Here we have the opera where we have the Darth Plagueis scene. And so this right here, this is concept art for this, and what the theater looks like in or on Coruscant. So very interesting here. And of course, we know Mon Calamaris were the ones that put on the show. And so that's something, if you didn't know that, the Mon Calamaris are the ones that did the opera show there. So something, if you didn't know, fun fact right there. Let's see here. Inside of Vader's mask looks like the ancient war mask of Sith warriors had. Very interesting, right? And probably that's where they got the idea. All right. And let's see here. Coruscant. This is gorgeous. Like it's kind of blurry in the camera here, but this is gorgeous because you have the sun and then you have the planet, and Coruscant basically is like a jewel, And so you have all the little rings of light and stuff like that. It's like a planet-wide city. We also have artificial like seas where they have like artificial waters and lakes and stuff like that. So very interesting planet indeed. All right, let's see. Let's start wrapping up now. I know I keep on saying that and then I get to something else and I want to talk about it. And I hope you guys are enjoying yourself, learning and just like going through and nerding out with me on some of this concept art. And this right here, concept of Yoda dueling. So that's very interesting. Look at all this. Look at all this, like Yoda leaping around and stuff like that. And of course, Padme's funeral. And this one right here is Cato Nemoidia interior, so another one of that, and they do mention that in the PT, and that's from the EU as well. Let's see here, and all right, more of Mustafar here, some more concept art. Okay, all right. I don't have any requests from you guys. I didn't know that Mon Calamari did the opera. That's cool. Yes, Bex. Very cool. And we all know OG would go to the opera and ask the person seated next to her if they heard. That would be so fun. I would have like one of those cameras on me and do that. That'd be so funny. OG's nerding at 10. Mine is 8.5 and the chat is at 10. Yeah, so very interesting here. And here's some more. Here is the base relief sculpture. So the hyperspace war concept here inside of his office again. And these are all set displays here. Kashyyyk and all of that. And let's see here. And more of like Padme's apartment outside of and stuff, like the patio area. You know, so all this, I mean, imagine all of this went into the movie, like all this concept went into the movie. Like here's Coruscant here. Here is the tower that got taken down, like the sunset on Coruscant here. It's just so interesting. So hopefully you guys go over to Pierce for his live stream and then put on Revenge of the Sith after everything's said and done and enjoy yourself. Now, this right here, we're not going to get into, but if you have this book with the screenplay, it has basically all the screenplay here, and it's about that thick, I guess you could say. And it gets into all the things you can look up here. And this one is from, it's not, well, there are scenes taken out, but the scenes that were taken out were still published in here. And that includes the delegation of 2000 meeting, I guess you can say, on questioning about Palpatine's power and what they should do going forward. So that meeting, that's in here. So this, the first draft, April 13th, 2003, and the fourth draft, June 26, 2003. So this is a great thing to have. You can read through this as well. A great source. So if you need to look up some stuff, and it's a great source to have. Okay, let me go ahead and close this down. And again, here you go, by written by J.W. Rinsler. And this is one of those bounds that are starting to come apart. You know, me and some of these books. All right, let me go ahead. Wrong one. And I'm going to remove this. Kick from studio. That's funny. Kick guest. That's funny. It says kick the guest out. Kick them out. There we go. So thank you guys again. I was like, how am I going to do this? Like, there's so many images. And I was like, should I take pictures? Should I look for the pictures? Make a PowerPoint? And I was like, no, I'm going to go ahead and have another camera available so that you can look down at what we're talking about. I can read some stuff to you, go over some scenes, some concept art with you guys, and check with you guys in the chat to see what you guys are talking about. And so I think that was pretty successful, other than I'm using my camera for my second, or my phone for my second camera. My oldest daughter is going to give me one of her old cameras because she has a new one that I can use for times like this when I paint and when I need above view and still have the other camera, so I can have two cameras views on here, so that I can be more productive and present more stuff with you guys and share more stuff in that way. So thank you guys again. Again, if it was still kind of blurry on your side, I'm sorry. I try to make it work as best as I can. But the thing is, we were here talking about it. It is Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary, paying homage to the concept art that provided the visuals for the movies, the concept, the ideas. Like, these people created off of what George gave them description-wise. And from there, they created a few other things, like few other concepts of the same idea. And George is like, I like this more than this, and this is why we see it in the movie. So very interesting. And I think it's, you know, a wonderful thing to pay back homage to these artists that helped George create visually Revenge of the Sith. And Beck says, I'll check out the replay since I was like, that's cool. Thank you. And let's see here. Where did you read about the statue from Yavin 4? Soul Assassin. What was that? The statue from Yavin 4? Let me see. The Hyperspace War statue that Palpatine got from Yavin 4. It was commissioned by Naga Sadao himself. Oh, you mean the plaque? That big old long plaque along the wall? That mural? So many connections between the films and the EU if you know where to look. Correct. And that's what I love. And let's see here, the Hyperspace War statue. Yeah, I already read that one. And let me see here. OG is the Sith we've been looking for. And so I have another that piece that's going to be scanned after I might do a few more on the current image I'm working on painting. So did you guys figure out whose Sith eye I painted? Well, that Sith eye, I might put a few more details to it, let it dry, and then I'll varnish it, and then I'll get it digitally printed or digitally scanned so that I can, have prints for you guys. And I was thinking about still putting on Redbubble so you can get it as a t-shirt or a mug. Just imagine getting a mug with a couple or an eye staring back at you. Kind of creepy in the morning, right? By Sith eye, so. But that's something that I just decided randomly to do, and I started last night, and it's relatively done. But I think there's a couple more little details I want to put on to bring out certain areas of the image. But it is Darth Crate's eye. And if you have Legacy Alliance, and I think it's Volume 4, it's basically his Sith eye, because he has one that is mechanical, and then one that is his organic. So it's his organic Sith eye, but what I did is I switched it around. So his organic Sith eye is on his right side, I believe, and I made it his left. Just took a little bit of liberties on that just to switch it up, but it's still his eye. And let's see here. You should paint Naga Sadao's meditating chamber. Oh, I have, there's so much. I'm doing an origin series, but this was just something I stepped away from a little bit from the origin series just to have fun and play around with. Thank you so much, Star Wars Marvel Purist. I'm glad to have you here with us as well. Whoopsie. Let's see, OG's merch. Yep. The video of Lucas looking through the artwork are good watches. Yes. And honestly, I'm surprised Crate was still moving at his age and legacy. You know, he was in stasis for a long time. So, you know, when he was in stasis, and then, you know, we know that if you go into carbonite or stasis and stuff like that, you can come back relatively well, I guess you could say. And that's why he survived so long. And there's a whole big story about that. And I highly recommend getting into the Darth Crate lore. So with that being said, family is getting ready to cook and all that. So I'm going to start closing out here. So in about a half an hour or a little over half an hour, Star Wars Marvel Purist, it will be live. So please go over there, go hit the like button and say hello, and you know, put on the notification so that you get notified when it goes live, and go hang out there so that you can continue on with the 20th anniversary celebration of Revenge of the Sith. That is such a magnificent story. It's a beautiful, or I want to say beautiful, it's a beautifully tragic ending to the beginning of the OT, if that makes sense, because we get Darth Vader coming to life, I guess you can say. And then you have that time jump basically to the OT, where he's one of the most feared villains ever, you know, in the lore, and also as a movie villain. And so this tragedy of Anakin, the rise and fall of Darth Vader, is, you know, it's a phenomenal story, masterclass. And we also get to see the birth of the twins, and then we get to see them at 19 or 18 or 19 and them put into action. We know that Leia was relatively put into action quicker first and foremost than Luke, because of Bail Organa, because he's one of the original founders of the Rebel Alliance. And she has the Death Star plans that she's being chased for by Vader. And she's seeking out Obi-Wan. And that's where everything is kickstarted to bring in her brother Luke into the picture, into the fight. And I think George masterclass with that as well. And, you know, sometimes I watch, and not that I don't like the second and third, episode 1 and 2, but sometimes I watch from Revenge of the Sith on into the OT. And there's times that I skip around, but Revenge of the Sith is my second favorite. My absolute number one favorite is Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi. Both phenomenal endings to their trilogy, both wrapped up beautifully, masterfully by George Lucas. And the reason why Return of the Jedi is my favorite is because that made me wanting more. I wanted to learn more about Luke Skywalker. I wanted to learn more what happened with Han and Leia. Did they really get together? What happened? Did she help rebuild the Republic, I guess you could say? Did Luke rebuild the Order? What's going on? So that's what got me into the EU. And, it was a beautiful start to that. And I don't know, it just made me a huge fan. And then when the PT came out and I went through every single one, and when I got to Revenge of the Sith, I was like, holy hell yeah. This is like the tragic ending to a beautiful ending. So the tragic ending of the PT, what happened to the twins, what happened to Padme, what happened to Anakin, to the redemption of the realization that family is everything, kind of deal, like how you can redeem someone through love of family and stuff like that. So beautifully put together by George Lucas. So let's see here. Return of the Jedi Goated Infinite Masterclass. Smash the like button. Yes, I agree. Smash the like button. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close here, you guys. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for checking out the concept art, watching me and nerding out with me on those images, imagining like being in the shoes of George Lucas and the creators there at Skywalker Ranch and stuff, creating this art and then having this come to life. What a masterful thing to do. Really, really amazing. So thank you guys again. Go over there now, hang out with Star Wars Marvel purists for the game and stuff like that. Continuation of the celebration here. And I shall talk to you guys later. Thursday is Cap Chat. And then we have the Celebration with the Gatekeepers Alliance coming up on this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then Star Wars Marvel Purists is continuing on to Monday. I'll be there for every single one of them. So come hang out with us. More OG, more Gatekeepers Alliance. Thank you guys again for hanging out. And may the Force be with you. I'm going to play this one more time. I think it's just got to pay homage to our chosen one.
As it was explained to me by George Lucas, even when he becomes Darth Vader and even when he's fully immersed in the dark side, he is still the chosen one.
Hayden is Anakin Skywalker, and he knows this. So to have them bring all that knowledge, and it's more than knowledge, it's more instinct and emotional. They just know what feels right for their characters. It's invaluable.
It's a very meditative process for me. Sometimes my mind wanders, mostly about the scene we're about to do. The difference between Anakin and Darth Vader, and is Anakin completely gone or not? He is fully Darth Vader, he's fully consumed by the dark side. But I like to believe that there's always a little bit of Anakin still in there.